This guy was just arrested and jailed for hanging a sign. Not in North Korea, not in communist China. It happened right here in America. And every one of us should have a serious problem with that.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
So here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
So here's the deal.
But here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Well, here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
So here's the deal.
And here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Because here's the deal.
Here's the deal. Either give me your ID or you go to jail. How about that?
Catch me outside. How about that?
How about that?
How about that?
Here's the deal.
Welcome back to the Here's the Deal channel. Now, there are going to be some people that are going to have a serious problem with this broadcast right here. And the reason they're going to have a serious problem is because they don't really believe that you have an unalienable right to freedom of speech. They don't really believe that you have the right to say whatever you want in a public space because you might offend somebody. Now, they'll say you have free speech to an extent, but that's about as far as they're going to go. They're not going to let you just get away with just wholesale offending people. If the right to freedom of speech is anything, it's the right to offend. Otherwise, what good is having this unalienable right? If everything you say everybody's going to agree with, why even make a law about it? Why even codify it in the Constitution? Why even write freedom of speech? If everything that you say is going to be agreeable to everybody at all times, in all places, it is specifically put there because people say things and they express their opinions that other people are going to have a problem with. And another thing is, don't get this confused with, I endorse the message we're about to look at right here, because I absolutely don't. But the question is, are you free to say what you want in a public space? Are you free to express how you feel about religions or about other people because of the color of their skin or whatever? Because if you're not, can you really call this the land of the free, home of the brave? Florida neo-nasty. We're just going to call them neo-nasty because that's how I view them. It's like, man, it's just totally BS what they're promoting here. But, okay, whatever. They're free to promote it. If they're not free to promote what they promote, then I'm not free to promote what I promote. And I might not agree with what you say, but I will defend your right to say it. It says Florida neo-nasty demonstrator arrested after what? Hanging these things right here that you can't talk about if you're certain people on certain platforms. Anti-you-know-what banners over I-5. He claims to be a member of this group right here called the Order of the Black Sun. Let's read a little bit because there's a law that's attached to this that no red-blooded American should agree with, because it will backfire on you one day. If you don't stand up against anti-free speech rhetoric, then there's not going to be anybody left to stand up for you when you want to exercise your freedom of speech. This is where we're at with this. Orlando, Florida. A neo-nasty was arrested after he hung you-know-what and other you-know-whats banners along a bridge over Interstate 4 in Orlando, according to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Enforcement, because government is not eloquent, it's not reason, it's force. And like fire, it's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. The government is, for all intents and purposes, practical purposes, a cult, because you have to believe what they're selling. And what they're selling is, hey, some people have the right to rule you. Some people have the right to take your stuff, legally take your stuff. It's called legal plunder. Jason Brown, a 48-year-old from Cape Canaveral, was arrested for his alleged actions on June 10th. Did he harm somebody? Did he threaten to harm somebody? Did he damage property and not pay for it? No, he expressed his freedom of speech under the First Amendment. That's supposed to be the supreme law of the land. But he didn't work alone. FDLE, that's Florida Department of Law Enforcement, agents said currently there are 3 outstanding warrants for additional demonstrators who reportedly participated but live out of state. Participated in what? Hanging banners from a fence on I-4. Let's take a look at what that looks like. I think I've got, here's what it looked like right here. This is a Twitter feed. I think there's a closer view of this. Yeah, here's what they were hanging. Do I agree with these signs? No. Do I endorse their message? Absolutely not. Will I fight for their right to display these signs if they want to? Absolutely. Why? Because I want people fighting for me if I decide to display signs that are objectionable to other people. This is the bottom line. Brown is a self-proclaimed member of the you-know-what extremist group Order of the Black Sun. FDLE agents said. Oh yeah, we can believe what the FDLE law enforcement agent said. It says, on June 10th, Brown and others placed banners along a fence on the Darrell Carter Parkway Bridge in Orlando, which overlooks I-4. These kind of flags and these kind of messages were among the banners displayed. Because they didn't get permission to display these banners, now they use this because they didn't get permission as an excuse or as a justification to curtail or infringe upon their right to freedom of speech. Because we know that a lot of other banners on I-4 and other places in Florida are accepted. Like, how about, what if the banner said DeSantis 2024? You think these guys would be arrested? What if it said, we support the thin blue line? What if it displayed flags like this right here? You know, a lot of people see this flag right here like they see the 1930s Germany flag displaying that particular symbol. A lot of people see this and they see this because they have already personally experienced in their lives the blue line of tyranny raining violence down upon them. So they see this as no different than seeing the SWAS flags. Because they didn't get permission to display these banners and images, the demonstrators violated a law signed earlier this year by Governor Ron DeSantis. By the way, that law goes into effect in just a couple weeks on October 1st, 2023. HB 269, and stay tuned. You want to see the wording of HB 269. See if it lines up with the First Amendment. See if you think this will foster freedom in America. HB 269 prohibits individuals from displaying or projecting images onto a building, structure, or property without permission. That includes public property. You can't even project it. Like, let's say you got a neat high-powered projector. Remember when Elon Musk changed Twitter to X and he projected that on the side of the Twitter building? You're going to have permission if you want to just project something onto a public building. And this, by the way, HB 269 only references buildings. It doesn't say anything about fences, overpasses, or anything like that. This new law, listen to this wording right here. This new law allowed law enforcement to have an avenue to arrest Brown for his hate-filled propaganda. It allowed law enforcement to have an avenue to give them justification to violate somebody's right to freedom of speech is really what that should say. It's kind of like traffic law, which is really traffic policy because it doesn't supersede or circumvent the supreme law of the land, or at least it shouldn't. Practically speaking, it does. But they set in motion the traffic policies so that they can have an avenue to violate your constitutionally protected rights. Do you really think that in some states you have the right to defend yourself with a personal protection device according to the Second Amendment under traffic law if they see that in your seat next to you because you wanted to defend yourself in case something went down, you know, if you're driving through Memphis or St. Louis? No, you lose your rights. Do you have the right to freely travel when they stop, the cherries and berries light up behind you and they stop you? Do you have the right to just take off and get away from them? No, you don't, because they will chase you down. They will hunt you down. They'll put dogs on the ground, helicopters in the air, cruisers on the road, and they will make sure they get you. And it's all in violation of your rights. There's nothing in the Constitution that approves the use of tyranny under traffic law as a justification to remove any of your rights. Nothing. Says, quote, we want to thank Governor Ron DeSantis. We want to thank Governor DeSantis for his support of law enforcement, the thin blue line. So I'm guessing if the thin blue line flag and support our troops flags were lining I-4, they wouldn't have a problem with it. But now because it offends a certain amount of people, and it is offensive, it's truly offensive. But don't you have the freedom to offend? Yeah, if you don't have the freedom to offend, you are not free. And for the signing of HB 269, giving us the tools to arrest this hate-filled radical, Glass said in a statement. This is FDLE, that's the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. This is the commissioner saying, thank you, Ron DeSantis, for giving us the justification to violate this guy's rights and throw him into prison. Let me show you this bill. This is Bill HB 269, and it says an act relating to public nuisances prohibiting the distribution of certain materials. If you prohibit the distribution of certain materials, what are you doing? You're infringing on that which the First Amendment says you shouldn't be infringing on, and that's freedom of speech. Going down here, 2A, it says, except as provided in subparagraph B, a person who distributes pamphlets, flyers, or other materials, whether for commercial or non-commercial purposes, in a public place, including outside a private residence, and such materials discarded by recipients, leads to littering, commits a misdemeanor for the purpose for the first degree, punishable as provided in these other numbers. So you will be punished because recipients could discard this and it could lead to littering. And if it leads to littering, we're going to take away your First Amendment rights. That's the justification they use, because it led to littering. But then it says, if a violation of subparagraph A involves material that evidences religious or ethnic animus, including content described in S 806.13, 2B, the offense is reclassified as a felony of the third degree. And then having to do with this thing on the bridge, it says a person who projects an image outdoors onto a publicly or privately owned building or other property without written consent of the owner of the building or the other property commits misdemeanor. And then it says if the image projected evidences religious or ethnic animus, including content described in this paragraph, it becomes a felony of the third degree. So what Ron DeSantis did with HB 269 here is he criminalized anybody who would dare exercise their First Amendment rights, no matter how offensive it is for people. And I agree that this is not right here, but this right here is not something that I particularly want to see. I definitely don't agree with it, but I disagree with it just as much as I disagree with this symbol right here. And there are a lot of people who see this symbol right here as no different from this symbol right here. If you can see that, this symbol right here. They see this symbol and this flag and these symbols is the same as this flag and this symbol and what they think it represents. So this guy went to jail because he hung a flag on a fence on the freeway. Let me know what you think about that. Because if you applaud this, then you have to applaud it if you or some people that you love decide to express their opinions on a fence over an interstate. Like, you remember Sean Porter? He's got signs that are super offensive to people, but this is still protected by the First Amendment. This is Sean Porter. I think this is called the Sean Porter Report. This is the YouTube channel, Sean Porter Report. And you can see the sign that he's got right there. He has extreme animus for Joe Biden. So do a lot of people. What if the banner on the side of the fence right here said F Joe Biden or Let's Go Brandon, which both mean the same thing? Would Ron DeSantis make sure that the Florida Law Enforcement Department arrested that guy and threw him into jail? I doubt it. I really doubt it. Unless it's pro DeSantis or pro thin blue line, they're not going to touch you on that. But when you do something that, oh my gosh, that's offensive. Well, what if you're offending people with the thin blue line flag? They won't do anything about it. If you're for free speech or you're not. You're for offensive speech or you're not. You're for protecting people's free speech, whether you like the message or not. I don't know how else to put this. Yes, super offensive. Yes, I definitely don't support the message. I'm against it. I think it's stupid to go out there and do this kind of stuff. But wouldn't you rather have these people in the light rather than shoved off in the darkness somewhere? Don't you want to know who these people actually are? And hey, what if these people are actually not who they say they are, but what if they're COINTELPRO? What if they're feds? What if they're trying to make a certain people group look bad? Like, here's a video right here. They were outside of Disney World with their flag. See that flag right there? Again, a lot of people see this flag right here as the same as displaying a thin blue line gang member flag. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comment section below. I know this is a touchy subject for a lot of people, but hey, if you're not free to offend in America, are you truly free? If you want to support this channel, the links are in the description. Grab a hard-hitting conversation starting design. You can put on a shirt, hoodie, mug, cell phone case, hat, pillowcase, whatever you want. The takeaway from this video, just like all my videos, is freedom is dangerous. Freedom is scary. Freedom is offensive. But you know what's more dangerous, scary, and offensive? Not having freedom and letting tyranny just have its way with everybody and everything. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for supporting the channel. Please share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.